That's fine. I want to stand and but we always had good conversations. All the ways over to that view over there, Fast View. We ran cows up that way 30 miles.
This thing is being kind of silly.
And then we ran cows over here back 5 miles.
What size herd?
We was running 12 to 1,500.
Wow.
We had fall calvers and we had spring calvers.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Much you with it at all?
We ran commercial herd. No rest.
I'm trying to get it all set up here and framed out for you.
We put it
But
in the grocery store. So
are you there?
The grocery store. Oh, the grocery store.
Okay. Dan and I are going to take turns here on camera.
That's kind of
We've got some sun. How's our glare? Are we doing all right? Okay. Well, we're here with Tom Davis. Okay. Y'all framed out? You got people gathering to hear what you have to say.
whatever.
That's what that's it.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about your place here first?
Okay, but we raised bucking horses and we just got started on bucking bulls. We got our first bull calf laying right there.
Let's walk over and take a look at him. We can look at everything this way.
And that. And we raised bucking bulls and that now. Getting started, my son's taking over the business. And that. And just getting started with our herd of bucking bulls. We got 80 head of bucking horses. And we just shipped the load out to rodeo practice at the college. We do a lot with the college. And that's one of our studs over there beyond, standing the hay, eating out, pigging out.
Which college do you work for?
We work with TVCC. I don't work for, I just help out.
My apologies. I misphrased that one.
Yeah, we just help out the kids. You know, the rodeo industry is based upon the youth coming up. And if we don't help develop the youth, we won't have a rodeo. So we do a lot of rodeo Bible camps with the kids, showing them, you know, the scriptures and God's word and how it can correlate with rodeoing. We do a lot of the college and high school rodeo type stuff, and that, providing good horses. We've got several layers of horses. We got from our A strings to B string, C string, depends on how the kids are. Like smaller kids and that we ship. My son's girlfriend wants to get started in bucking ponies, so we can go down to even to the Pee-wee rodeos with bucking ponies, and that. So it's
I don't know a lot about the bucking ponies. I can only tell you about the mutton busting.
it's similar. It's after the mutton busting, and then they go up to the horses and that, and steer. They ride steers or the red cows. It's just getting the youth involved in rodeo, so the industry don't die. The industry stays on, because if our youth don't do it, all these old guys, you know, we're all getting older and that, and so we got to keep the youth going. And it's just like football, everything, except we don't have big corporations backing us like the football leagues. Our Cowboys, my son is ranked right now in his league, third in the college rodeo league, and we do a lot of that type of stuff, a lot with the youth. My son wants to do the business, so we built up a business, and he'll take over the business whenever I retire in a couple of years.
Well, that sounds, like the American dream.
Yep, and that's what we're afraid of, is our American dream is going to be taken away by government control.
Okay, and why does that make you afraid?
Because the government's trying to steal all this land. Without the pasture, we're buying or leasing what you'd call private allotment, private pastures. I won't do no BLM. I won't do no government lease. But once the government starts taking away all the public leases on public lands, it's forcing more competition and higher rate of pay on the private per AUM. AUM is an animal unit month. Per animal, you pay so much money per month. And once they start forcing this in, it's going to take us more money to run them. And when it gets non-profitable, it's not worth doing no more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not looking to be rich. We're looking just to sustain the horses and sustain the cows with hay and feed during the wintertime. So
and pay your bills.
And to pay the fuel to go to the rodeos. We're supplementing our bills and that with paychecks. I work out and my business partner works out. So that helps supplement our income and that.
How big of a spread do you have here? This is
This
a
here's-
nice land.
This is just an investment property I bought, and it's 10 acres. It's just an
Mhm.
investment property that I'll turn around and resell.
Mm-hmm.
And I sold a piece, and that 800 acres and a 320. I buy places and I turn and resell them, and make a profit to build bigger. My goal is to end up with my son having about 2,000 acres of his own to raise my grandchildren on. Got to keep those grandbabies into rodeo and horses.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I want my grandchildren to have the same chance he did. He started riding horses when he's 2 years old. I went out and had a saddle made up for him, and he started riding at 2 years old, and he's been riding since.
So, do you know Dwight and Stephen Hammond?
Yes, I do.
And how long have you known them?
I first met them when I first moved here after the Air Force in 1989.
You were in the Air Force?
I was in the United States Air Force. I came down out of Canada. I was born in Oregon. We moved to Canada. And me and my twin brother came down to join the United States Air Force. And we were stationed in Lackland, Cheyenne, Wyoming. Couldn't get off Cheyenne, Wyoming. We was what they called a mobile fire team, which was an emergency response team to respond anywhere in the world. There was 44 of us. And we were the first of it. We started, and then we stayed there as trainers.
Thank you for your service.
You bet. But I figured if I'm going to join the military, I'm going to join the best in the world. So I came to the United States. And now it's so discouraging to see what Obama and the politicians have done to our military.
Mm-hmm.
Have castrated and made them steers, and they're unable to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Except whenever it comes to America Inc., which we see in Harney County right now, the corporate America that is here to take over our land
Mm-hmm.
for profitability. They say it's for national monuments. They get everybody, we're getting all this land for us to travel. No, people, you will be cut off land, just like the refuge. The refuge has signs there that says, by permission, no entry except you. It's a no trespass sign. I forget the exact word they have on it. But you cannot trespass on certain parts because that's government. Only government officials and government people can trespass on that land. The general public can't. I had people that kept cutting the fences and pushing my cows in there, and we'd go in and get the cows, and I had the sheriff's office show up, and the fish and game people down here, the refuge cops, they'd show up and tell us to get off the land, that we're not allowed on there, even though we were going after our cows, if somebody cut fence and turned our cows into there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's when people think of public land, you got to stop and think, if the government does not want you to go on it, it is not public land, it's government land. The government owns it, government controls it. If they don't want you on it, they won't. They're trying to create a buffer zone that will go from Mexico all the way through Canada to Alaska. That will be a no man's zone. You won't be able to recreate or nothing on there. This whole thing is a start. And you American people, wake up. The government, Inc., is not on our side. We belong to the USSR, basically, United Socialist Republic of America. We've got to get ourselves together and become one nation and fight the corruption that is in our government. From our county seat here, the corruption is phenomenal, all the ways to our state house with our Governor Jan Brown, all the ways to the Secretary of Treasury, all the Secretary of Treasury, Secretary of Defense. They're all in on this. The Bundy incident is what the government wanted to get gun control. Mm-hmm. That's why the word armed was used so much, was for gun control. They say we need to do this for our children. When a government agency says they're going to do something for the safety of our children, stop and think. This is the same government that provides over $500 million a year to Planned Parenthood to abort kids, to kill kids. So we've got to stop and think they're not doing it for the children that Hitler used for the children, Stalin used for the children, Lenin used for the children, Mao used for the children. It's a form to get sympathy for their cause so they can control everybody. They take your guns, they will control you.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about your relationship with Lavoie.
It's kind of a funny story.
They like funny stories.
If you were down at the refuge, I went down to give my son a civics class to show him the difference between the occupation of our airport and the occupation of our courthouse, where you cannot cross a line without having somebody approach you with an M16 weapon and threaten you to get you off their property. Our airport and our county courthouse has become an occupied socialist republic. And so, if you work for the courthouse and you're the elite of the society. People look at the imperialistic and socialist society. You have elite and you have the lower class. If you're the elite, you can go where you want. You can go into there and you can talk to them. But if you're not of the elite, you're subservient to the government, which we the people are, then you are not allowed to cross that threshold. So I showed him that, and then I took him down to the refuge. We were meeting with handshakes, with howdies, with good people willing to talk. And then they said, why don't y'all go down and check it out? So we went down, and I was standing there amongst a group of people, and there was 2 FBI agents guarding 2 granola crunchers, as I call them, 2 protesters that was protesting our land. Our land is that they were yelling at. And so I walked over there after listening for a bit, and I started a dialogue with this one gal. I forget about Kate something. I forget what her name was. I started dialogue, and she had talking points. And when you pulled her away from those talking points, she jumped right back and started screaming at you on those talking points. And her little friend over here was screaming, our land, our land, our land. And I told her to please be quiet. We're trying to have a dialogue here. And then we'd get talking, and whenever I stumped that gal again, the little one would start screaming again. So I told her, shut up. And then I was abusive to women. And I was abusing women because I told her to please shut up as we was trying to have a dialogue. Well, Hammond came over, and he thought there was going to be an argument there, and he wanted to stop it for the media's sake. And it was just a simple discussion about the land, about our county land.
Can you tell us about when this was?
This was the Saturday before the incident with Lavoie.
Okay.
And Hammond came over, and he put his hand on my shoulder, and he was going to pull me away from it. But then he said, oh, heck, Tom's got it under control. He knows what he's talking about. So he left and let me discuss with this gal. And then she started saying that we were killing coyotes. Yeah, we do have predation problems, so we take care of predators. The refuge is full of predators. That's why there is hardly any birds and that comes to the refuge. They go to nearby ranches. And that. But the funny thing is, she started this, and then she started saying, I hate cows. I hate cows. And I did a survey of her from her rubber boots, that is, rubber has livestock byproduct, cattle byproducts in it, to the leather on her boots. And then what was really funny is the coyote fur she's wearing on top of her boots. Here's somebody that was saying protest and that we were killing cows, but yet she was wearing the product from the coyotes and that. And then I looked up in her makeup and all this, and they all have an animal byproduct of some type in that they're saying that they're against. You know, it's PETA and all these people. They do these commercials that shows these poor animals in the cage to get the sympathy of old women to send them money that they barely have to feed themselves. And they create 6 CEOs of the American Humane Society. And out of those 6 people, they're all vegans. They're multi-rich millionaires. And 2% of the funds they get goes to the helping the animal. But the thing that gets me is they leave those animals shoved in those cages, tormented, picked on, so they get the perfect audio or the perfect picture to bring sympathy from the people. How long did that animal stay there, tortured and suffering, so they could get that perfect image to sell to you people in America to make you feel sorry? You get these movie stars advertising for PETA and all these people. What do they do to help out? They live in California. They take all the water to keep their lawns green that could be used for agriculture to raise food for the people. They live in a cluster, I call it a rat trap. Cities are all rat traps upon each other to show their extravagance, their wealth. And yet they come on and they tell the simple man that we've got to do this. And it comes to the point of, it's not what I do you worry about, it's what you do. And so that kind of gave me, with that gal. But we went into the building, and that Hammond pulled me in the building. And there's a guy sitting there watching me. And I was rolling, and I let some points be known that I disagreed with the government. And then I stopped and I said, where's my son? I couldn't see my son. And so the guys ran out and grabbed my son and brought him in. And he walked in. My son's 19 years old. He's a buckaroo cowboy, saddle bronc rider. And all he lives for is working cows and working horses. He loves working horses. And he's a natural with animals. It's kind of like what you might say a horse whisperer type. But he came in, and Lavoie looked over at him and smiled. and asked him how old he was. His son said 19. He said, "What do you like to do in your life?" Hunter, horses, cows, ranching, livestock, outdoors, being outdoors in the great wilds. And Lavoie says, I got two daughters I should introduce you to. One's 18, one's 19. And I looked at Hunter and I laughed. I said, "See, Hunter, Dad's not the only one that does this." It's just a dad thing.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Hey, Hawk, I need to test something with you. Are you there? How's my camera looking? Any better or worse? Okay, I'm talking about right now though, because I covered it up with I flipped the top of my screen down. I'm going to try the selfie stick and see if I can get it a little stable for you. But that means I had the cover of my screen here. Dan, come here a minute, please. Can you hold that for a second while I get this ready? I needed to test with him what the screen looked like.
She's short. She's saying
that's not going to be as stable as I thought. It's not as long as I thought. Well, I've got one, but it's not that long. I thought it was longer.
I thought we just might nail it to the pole.
There we go.
That's good.
So we'll make
this
hold that way. We'll make this work somehow.
Okay.
Sure. That thing's. I gotta tighten it up here. How we doing there, Hawk? Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways, Lavoie, was picking on my son and that, and they were talking and built a rapport. And they had a paper there that you'd give up your BLM allotment or whatever. I don't have no BLM allotment, but I signed that to guarantee Lavoie and Eamon and the people of the world that I would never have a BLM allotment. I will never stand for the government intrusion into my business. And I also signed it to stand with the ranchers and stand with Ammon and stand with the Bundys against the corruption of the country. Basically, I swore an oath to them that I would do everything I can to assure that their work was continued and finished and the people of America would be free.
Do you have a copy of that?
No, I don't. Okay. No, I don't. It was in the rig that was taken by the FBI. And everything. But there was a couple of us that signed the papers and they're good men. But it's a shame that now we've got to be fearful of the government coming in to harass us because we signed a piece of paper against the BLM. The Bureau of Land Management, everybody thinks it's for the land. No, the Bureau of Land Management is Inc. It's an incorporation. If you die and your land goes into probate and there's no survivors of the land, our county judges or county committee commissioners or wherever you want to give them the fancy name, they will turn that land over to the BLM. So the county agency through probate is taking land from the American taxpayers and turning it over to BLM, which the BLM will only pay roughly, I've heard figures between 13 and 20% of what the net tax worth of that property is.
That's tax worth versus real worth.
Real worth.
Right? Okay.
Okay, so if I'm paying taxes on, say, this 10 acres, I'm paying 100% of what the tax worth is. The real market value is on that, what they assure the taxes would be. The BLM on this 10 acres would be only paying between 13 to 20% of it, which is affecting us all. It affects our schools. It affects the condition of our schools. It affects the way our kids are taught, the availability of good curriculum, and it's dumbifying our kids through the government. This Common Core is one of the prime examples of the dumbification of America. You keep them stupid, you can step on them. The way they did in the slavery day, they never educated the slaves. They kept them stupid so they can control them. So they never knew they had a right to be free, to be free men. And we are protesting this to be free men. We had down here a meeting, a big rally downtown at the courthouse. A lot of people showed up. There was on both sides of the fence. The government, the county agents and county workers were on one side of the fence on the sidewalk, protesting with a bunch of lies and that they heard from the FBI. Then there was the free people on the other side with protesters intermingling. That was paid protesters from Seattle and Portland with their signs about the refuge. Paid protesters. They were not people of the county. They were not people that was interested in the freedom of America. But they were there. They were mixed in crowd. They were not assaulted. We did have one allocation of one of the people coming through with 3%, 11%, go home. We don't want you driving through. And they hit somebody. They hit a guy. And no action was taken. The state police told them go home. You just had a vehicular assault. And because they were on the side that was against the demonstration, they were allowed to go free, to go home. And this is the type of corruption we're working against. I started talking to the people in the county about issues of drugs. There was an FBI sting going on up in Spokane from LA. They brought a U-Haul van full of cocaine through our county. Our county sheriff's department stopped them for a taillight. They were told everybody was to leave that van go through because they wanted the upper end of it. They wanted the sellers up on the upper end. They wanted to bust those guys, traffickers. They busted that vehicle here in Harney County. They put all that cocaine into lockup. Lo and behold, when the FBI came to claim their cocaine, 6 bricks of cocaine came up missing. 6 or 10, I think it was 6, came up missing out of lockup. Nobody else had reason to be in lockup. Nobody else had the way to get into lockup but the cops, our sheriff's department. All of a sudden, as I brought it to these people, cocaine was available on our street to our kids. They were supplying to our kids a drug that would basically addict them to the trafficking that's going on. You get in this county, all the cops are off duty from 2:30 to 6:30 in the morning. You can come in at Oregon at Lakeview, you can go through to Pendleton and not have no police involved. But you see all these Mexican lowriders coming through. You see a lot of people coming through that's kind of sketchy. Why are they coming through at that time in the morning? Then there was an airplane that came in loaded with marijuana. They busted it at the airport. They took the drugs into lockup. And lo and behold, drugs came up missing. I forget the exact poundage that was missing, but it came up missing out of lockup. All of a sudden, we had marijuana on our streets. Our kids was being used as the users, and the cops and our law enforcement was the suppliers. This is a corruption that has occurred in Harney County. I could go on and on. People in Harney County have sat here for years, ever since I've been here. You'd hear, did you hear this guy did this, sheriff did this? Did you hear this guy did this? Whispering behind the back, but nobody stood up. Nobody did nothing about it. They just accepted it because everybody's afraid of the consequences of speaking up. You guys in the law enforcement, you might come and harass me. You might come and try to give me a ticket for this or try to throw me in jail. I ask you, the law-abiding, honest, fair, constitutional sheriffs and police officers, are you going to allow people to be harassed? Is a criminality that you're supposed to be protecting us from to occur? If you do, then you're no better than the SS that was out to destroy people in Germany or the people in Russia that was controlling the people of Russia that let them starve to death. Socialism, to all you college-educated young kids that's voting for Bernie Sanders, I will tell you this, study socialism. Study it. Don't believe the crap that's taught to you by the American teachers. We have socialist professors that is against America, but yet they're taking the paycheck with the American people to preach anti-Americanism. Socialism is control. You have your elite party, you have your subservient party. Go to Russia, look at the pictures of the food line, starvation. Look at the Ukraine in 1932 and 1933.
Or Venezuela right now.
Venezuela right now. They can't even have toilet paper. Toilet paper is a commodity that is sold on the black market for extremely amount of big cash. This is socialism. It is a control of the people. You give them a little bit, so they barely sustain. But yet they take 90%. Bernie Sanders, free college, free schooling, everything's free. My God, we're going to be the blessed country in the world. We're going to have free. They're going to take 90% of your paycheck and give you 10%. If you guys that vote for these people, Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, socialist, progressive Democrat, progressive liberal, no matter what they name themselves, if you are willing to vote for them, I ask you, I live in Riley, Oregon. Send me your 90% of your paycheck and I will make it grow. I will do something with it. I will not pocket it in my pocket. I will not live like a king in Washington, D.C., where they're getting paid millions to do nothing but argue like school kids. That's socialism. You are giving them your money to build for you, but they're not. They're building for themselves. Most of the college kids in the United States don't even know our presidents of the United States. They have problem with our states. Some of them, President Obama, didn't even know how many states we had in the United States. He did not know how many territories we had in the United States. If you are that college educated, a constitutional lawyer, as Obama professes to be, which I doubt, I think it's a title that was honorary given to him, then you have problems. If you don't know simple things, you don't know the Constitution of the United States, which is written not for your lawyers, not for everybody that thinks they're college educated, is for the simple man, the simple man of common sense. That's our Constitution. That's this little pamphlet I pack around. And everybody calls it a fake Constitution. It's not the real thing. Study the original Constitution, look it up on the internet, the original document, and study this word for word, the same piece of paper. It is just in more portable form and not hidden in some museum like the Smithsonian where we cannot see it and touch it and feel it. But it's here in our pockets where it's by our heart, and we keep it where it's close to us. So America, step up and realize what's going on in Harney County will affect you. I was just talking to a young lady out of Orange County, California. She's got 27 acres. The federal government showed up with armed guards and forced her to let a cell tower outfit on her property to put in a cell tower. It's in courts now. It's in battle. But she was
Armed guards?
Armed assault weapons to bring those people in to guard them. She's been harassed by 3 cops, sheriff. They've drug her through court. They're trying to steal her land. That's 27 acres in LA, down by LA. It's going to happen everywhere, people. The government does not want you to own private land. And that when you take out a banknote, you're leasing that land. Probably that banknote, the money paid for it, is laundered money from some corrupt organization in the world. The BLM is on that. You look deep into those contracts, you will find the Bureau of Land Management Inc. involved. There is a corruption in this country that needs to be stopped, needs to be shut down. And people, that's the way it goes. As far as natives, that's yelling artifacts. The refuge has been destroyed long time ago by the government. They have used machinery on it. People's walked all over that place. Now, I am for the tribes. Some of my best friends are of the Carrier tribes in northern British Columbia. These gloves were made for me out of moose hide by a dear friend of mine, Chief George. His wife made them, and now she's deceased now. But her granddaughter held them for me for 20 years till I could get up there to pick them up.
Some very nice beadwork.
Beautiful beadwork. And I wear them in the cold because it keeps my hands warm. They're made out of moose hide. But I'm very much for the tribes. I'm very much for the tribes to regain and retain their pride, not to be some puppy dog that the government comes in, just like happened at the Paiute Reservation. I read an article, I cannot find it, disappeared on me, that they received a $40 million grant to build a casino outside of Burns if they went against the Bundys. This is something that we should look into. Also happened in Utah, in the incidents in Utah. And they received a large sum of money to build a casino if they went against protesters that was protesting freedom. They say native artifacts, sensitive areas, endangered weeds. These are just terminologies they use. But the ultimate goal is to have control. We had the sage grouse issue, and that where they was trying to make the sage grouse here in Oregon an endangered species. The sage grouse cohabitated for 150 years with the cattle. They have flourished and became abundant. There's 40-headed sage grouse out here in the alfalfa fields in the summertime. They're using the bugs, the seed knocked from the cows. They work with the cows, like the birds in the big herds in Africa that follows the guinea fowls that follow the big herds. And so but they're using it as an endangered species for control. They did not get it classified as an endangered species. But now, here's the touchy spot that a lot of these ranchers are saying we won. They're not endangered, but you did not win. They had the law for the endangered species over here, and then they had the law to implement if the endangered species, the sage-grouse became an endangered species. This law did not pass. But while these guys are celebrating their win, their victory, Steve Grasty is billing 4,000 hours for it. This law has been passed. So now the BLM will come at you and they'll say you've got to follow this law on preservation of the sage grouse. So it's a sleight of hand to get something passed to control your land. Steve Grasky did 4,000 hours, he said, that he billed to the grant that he took out for the sage grouse. I have one question to it, as if with the other 5 grants that you have, Steve Grasky, at the time you worked on these sage grouse, did you bill the citizens of Harney County for the hours that you're claiming that you worked for the county when you were working for the sage grouse? There's a conflict of interest. In my world, it's called padding your books. You're padding your time card. You're getting paid to do something, but you're doing here. If I worked for, say I worked for you, I was your employee, and you assigned me a certain task to do. But at the same time, I was getting paid by this guy to do something else. Well, he's giving me a little bit more money. So I was still charging you and not doing the job, but this guy was paying me. So I'm getting double income. Steve Grasky was getting 6-time income. This is a corruption. Our small county. Why do you think Steve Grasky is hiding behind the walls? He won't come out and talk to the people. Not even when there's a big mass of people there. That he should have came out and been a true leader and talked to the people. Diffuse this situation before we all get killed. It's just,
We're still going.
it's just time that we, the people of the United States of America, becomes one. We, the people, join together. No matter what your religion is, no matter your identity that you worship, if you are an American and you say the Pledge of Allegiance, you come together as Americans. It's kind of funny, the corruption that's occurring. We have the ACLU telling our kids we can't pray, say the Pledge of Allegiance, telling our Catholic churches to remove the crosses. Because, oh my God, somebody's insulted and seen a cross upon a church. We have people telling us we can't say Pledge of Allegiance, we can't wear flags on Cinco de Mayo Day. This is the United States, this is not Mexico. This is all to take away your rights as Americans, one step at a time. You can see it from the seatbelt law. They took a small right from you to drive. If you want to drive without a seatbelt and you feel safe that way, that was your right. If you wanted to wear a seatbelt, felt safe that way, that was your right. But the government stepped in and took this right away from these people for these people. Same with your helmet law on motorcycles. They've taken away the rights of the people that chose not to wear a helmet. If they felt they were safer that way, well, that's their belief. But their right was taken away. They take a little right at a time. And you always use the same terminology for the safety of the children. President Obama gave a gun control speech. He says that we must control the guns for the safety of the children. These are keywords. They play on sympathy. They play on emotion. They've considered abortion illegal. So what did they do? A child in a woman's womb is not a child. It's an entity. They made it an it. They become an it. That it. It's all right to kill an it. But once they say child, then the emotion of the people will come together. As they come in and they say, we're here to protect the children, but you're willing to kill this bunch of children, but now you're saying you want to protect this children. Now, we got some problems. We got some issues. I seen an article written by a professor. I call them nutcrackers. These nutcrackers think they're so smart and intelligent. Came up and said pedophilia was a good thing. They taught the children sexual identity. We have a school down in, I think it's Georgia, that now is a gay school. It is to teach kids from kindergarten to grade 12 to be gay. That is acceptable. We love it. I call it pedophilia.
Where's that?
I believe it's in Georgia. I forget the state it was in. Look it up. but they're allowing the kids now to be gay. These kids haven't even entered into puberty yet. How do they know what their sexual identity is? We have lawsuits going on about kids that's 6, 7 years old that wants to wear a dress to school and wants to be called a she or a he. Excuse me. You can have the surgical operations, have your equipment removed or have equipment added. You can have breasts, you can have not, and be a transsexual. But still, you are a male or a female. You cannot change your DNA. So let's get that crap gone. Now, I know there's controversial people call me racist, people call me all this. I'm not a racist. I'm not a sexist. I'm not a feminist. But I believe we are all one and we all stand together. If you American people stand with us in this battle that has came down to there's going to be a showdown here. And the showdown's coming from the government. The government's here to stomp on the neck of the free people. The government's coming here to oppress us. And through Harney County, with a small population, instead of any big cities, they can oppress their will. Why do we have all this military build up here? We have weapons. We have snipers. I counted 28 snipers going into the building. Why do we have these snipers here? These snipers are here for one reason. They are here to kill us. They are not part of the U.S. military. They are part of the United States of America, Inc. United States of America, Inc. is a corporation that was started back in Lincoln days. It is here to suppress the people and to show the United States, if you step out of line, we will come upon you and we'll come upon you hard. Now, this is just the beginning, people. This is the beginning of the show. If you want chains to be around your ankles, to be on your wrists, you blacks that say you were slaves, welcome crowd, you are a slave. You're a slave to the government. You're a slave to the cities and their ghettos. The cities and their ghettos, which is Democratic controlled. You think the Democrats believe in you people? You think the Democrats want to help you? No, they don't. The starter of the foundation of Planned Parenthood had one belief, was to weed out the blacks, weed out the African Americans because they were weeds and we need to harvest these weeds and get rid of them. Planned Parenthood and abortion became part of the cause. And so wake up, America. Let's join together and let's become one. You, me, brother and sisters, black, white, Native American, Chinese, Japanese, no matter what your culture is. We've got to become Americans, not African Americans, not white Americans, not German Americans, but Americans. One word alone, Americans. You stand with me or you stand against me. That is the call. Let's get this done. Let's get it over. Let's take the government back to the people.
That's real good, Tom. Hey, Hawk, you got questions for him? He's going. Keep him going.
Actually been awesome, and I think the land grab is going to be a lot bigger than we know, and I think I'm really beginning to think that's the whole reason for Jade Helm this summer, was to put all this military gear in place for when they get ready to do this, because they got the problem brewing up in Texas. I think it's Red River Gorge or something like that, and they're trying to make and they're trying to take another big piece of land from somebody in New Mexico over some kind of protected mosquito or something. It's so that was.
Yeah, I just read.
Go ahead.
And it's to protect this rare native mosquito that, by God, I'll slap him off my arm if he lands on me. But they use endangered. These are keywords. It's like the child. They use these keywords to get people to feel sensitive, to build on emotion. At the same time, they're backstabbing people.
They're trying to break livelihood of farmers by stopping tobacco production by buying out your growing. They'll pay you some money to stop growing it, and then you can never grow it again. And it's one of the more profitable crops you can grow up here because we don't have a lot of flat land. It's hilly and knobby, so we have to grow it in patches.
Yes, my great grandparents were tobacco farmers down in North Carolina, and then they went to moonshine for the Kennedys. They ran bootleg moonshine for the Kennedys.
Yeah, we have some of that. We have some of that here. I don't know if you've ever seen that show Moonshiners, but Chico's lives right down the door, literally down the road from me.
I'll be dang. Dang. It's kind of funny you bring up the tobacco. That is a funny industry as hell. The people of the United States was, oh my God, people smoking, people's getting cancer. We got to sue the tobacco industry. Then what did they do? They sued them. They got millions and millions of dollars to do what? It ain't going to stop. It's going to pat people's pockets. But at the same time, state of Oregon, a $2.50 pack of tobacco will cost you $6.59. All that's taxes, luxury tax, sin tax, whatever they call it is a tax. And so the American taxpayers paying for something that the government's building wealth on that's not helping nobody. They're just building this wealth upon it. And then they have these stop smoking campaigns. Who's going to pay that tax whenever people stop smoking cigarettes, when there's no more cigarette smokers? I'll tell you what, they'll come up with something else, most likely soda pop. And
They've already
use obesity.
started that.
Do they?
Yeah, in New York, the mayor tried to regulate how large the big adults can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's
And in, I believe it's San Francisco that they are moving to not allow sugared sodas and things like that to be sold publicly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Pelosi's country too. So you know how stupid it is.
Oh yeah.
And,
Oh, yeah.
But
But
you
the
know,
nanny state is definitely
Yep.
growing.
yeah. And this is it, people. You might think, well, it don't affect me. I'll give it up. It don't affect me, so I'll fight for that cause. Because those people need to have this done to them. Because we got to make sure those people lose their rights. They will come at you. You might down the road. What, shoot, what, that one movie star wanted one square of toilet paper for everybody when you did your business? That's the stupidity of the liberal policy. It's tax based. They want money. They're money grubbers. How did President Obama go in? I think he had something like $1 million or some dollars that he was worth. Now worth almost $30 million in 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. How did that happen? How come is there 249 million missing from Hillary Clinton's accounts, books they cannot find when she was Secretary of State? How did somebody that came out and said, when we came out of the White House, we were poor and now worth hundreds of millions of dollars? That's corruption, people. They don't care about you. That is corruption. Hammond Ranch, they want the control of the Hammond Ranch for one reason, the natural resources. They will. Peter DeFazio is taking money for his campaigning from business entities and unions that will be down here setting up shop and building business. And now he just sent out a letter with 6 other congressmen and women calling what's happened to that refuge needs to be resolved and resolved immediately. Needs to go down and take care of the Bundys and resolve the issues with Bundys. And that you need to show the militants of the United States that the government will step on your neck. This is Peter DeFazio in Medford, Oregon on the 4th District. And yet he's taking money from people that will benefit whenever mining shows up in Harney County, that will gain profit. That's his connection to it. It's kind of funny how he wants to protect his future money that will come into his pocket. If not, he's received millions from them already for his own personal use.
And Uranium One, I think they're out of Russia, donated a whole bunch of money to Hillary's campaign.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
the uranium.
Uranium One. Uranium One is a Canadian company that is solely controlled by the Russian entities.
Okay,
And-
there were some legislators that said civil disobedience is a virus, and that's a quote. That it's a virus. Have you heard about that?
That's our senators, our great senator Merkley from here. He's an bootstepping Obamaite that if Obama stops short, he's going to have his nose so far up Obama's ass, he ain't going to be able to pull it out. He votes 100% party line. That's Merkley. Merkley is a freshman, first timer. He beat Gordon Smith in our area. I don't know how he won, but he did. He's pro-government. He's pro. The liberals say they're not into the corporates, they're for the people. Bullshit. The liberals are corporate America. You look at any of their bank accounts, you'll find corporate America in their bank account. Then we have Wyden. There's a piece of work. A virus. The Constitution is a virus that must be stomped out. That must be eliminated. And they want them to come down here and eliminate the military and eliminate the Constitution. You have heard people say, oh, the Constitution was written by old men. That's deceased. it no longer applies. It's to destroy the Constitution. The more they teach our kids, do they teach Constitution of the United States in America? No. I learned about the Constitution of the United States in Canada, grade 5, with Mr. Banford. An Australian teacher that, but it's not here in the United States. Why? Because you're dumbifying the citizens of the United States. Common Core is to dumbify the student. Now, the stupider the people are, the more they will be buying. It's like my friend here talked about is a hog farm. If you have hogs and you feed them so much good feed that's liberal BS, and then you pull them away and feed them more nutritious feed that is conservative constitutionalist policies, and feed them this and show them that they're free through the gate. All you got to do is walk through the gate. I guarantee you that hog's going to turn around and go back to the trough of freedom for them. Free stuff, free college, free everything. So the American people are like hogs. We're being fatted up on conservative, liberal values, and not in the media, the propagandist media, and all. So we've got to look at this as a rancher would look at cattle. If you have good fat cows, you do good. And if they're free to travel, you have free range cows. Meat's better. No chemicals, no biodiversity, no nothing in it. It's just free. If you have locked up caged animals and you're feeding them, as some feedlots do, feeding them cow shit, recycled cow shit, and that you have E. coli building up in the cows and kids getting sick. This is liberalism, where kids are getting sick.
Let's go back to Harney County a little bit. Now that Ammon and his brother Ryan and the rest of them have been arrested, and
On what charges? Oh, impeding a
yeah,
police officer in his line of duty. What was their duty?
No, I understand that. I agree with that. My question goes to what's going to happen now in Harney County that you don't have the group of occupiers, you don't have the militia here in town. Most of them have left, not all of them. They seem to be leading the way. What about the Committee of Safety? Do you think they'll be able to pick up the banner and?
Oh yeah, they will.
Tell us
They're-
what you know about the committee and what they're
I
planning.
just do not.
Okay.
They're safe.
No,
They're safe.
that's fine. I just
What
I
she's
think
referring-
people want to know.
Yeah. What she's referring to is a body of American citizens that's following the Constitution. That's going through the Constitution, word by word, and following the Constitution. But yet, these are a threat to America Inc. And America Inc. is out to destroy them. As you said, Bundy's are arrested. We got 4 men, and 3 men and a pregnant woman. 3 men and a woman with child at the refuge. Now, the government will go in and kill them with that.
We talked to her. She said she's not pregnant. So that was a rumor that came from the internet, and it was actually somebody else that left.
Oh, that's too bad. Now, is that she's not pregnant. It's too bad because then they will think highly more of killing her. If they're pregnant, they might back on somebody from killing her. Nah. But the American people has got to realize that buildup, and I've showed you last time we talked, and I showed you what they do if you try to approach that certain line. They come out with their gun. The airport, all that might, all that artillery. I've heard there's 5 warehouses set up with munitions and that to take care of the people. They're not here for the Bundys. They were not brought here for the Bundys. They were here to show us and intimidate us. If we speak out, they will shut us down.
Have you heard there was another death?
Yes, I did. And Shauna's,
Son-in-law,
Son-in-law.
actually. My
Yeah.
first report was brother,
no,
but
it's
it's
son-in-law.
actually a
It was
son-in-law.
Shauna called her husband and daughter to remove the weapons out of their house because the FBI said she's got to have the weapons out of her house. So her daughter contacted her husband and had him to remove the weapons, but he never made it. Okay, you just received news from your mother-in-law to remove the weapons out. You're not going to lay down and go to sleep. And there was a big fire that burned him, killed him. Did the fire kill him, or was he killed by another source? Was he killed by the FBI over there, shutting him down, so he didn't remove the weapons?
And
So-
that only happened this weekend.
Yeah.
I believe Shauna never got back to
No,
her family.
no. She's got an ankle on. She's going to for arraignment, I think is what they call it, arraignment. And she's headed to arraignment today. But yeah, her son-in-law got killed. So there's 2 murders that the FBI has done. Now, they'll cover it up. Some of you people believe their lies. A boy was killed. They said he had a gun. He did not have a gun. He was killed by our government, by the state police of Oregon. I demand all people in the United States that's listening to this to write letters to the Oregon State Police that has to show videos, tapes, anything of a crime if it's requested. Write our congressmen here in Oregon. Get these lazy fat slobs to do their job and get them to work. That what happened up there was murder, plain and simple assassination. They took out the spokesman of the Bundys. They had it premeditated. They had it planned. I love the word they used. Play on words. Simple traffic stop. And simple routine traffic stop. You had snipers sitting in the trees. You had roadblocks. You had white nail strips set out. There was no simple routine traffic stop there. This was a premeditated murder. They set it up for murder. Why would this United States military men and women, you should be ashamed of this. Our military code of conduct is to provide aid to anybody shot on the battlefield, to comfort them and to make sure that they're not wounded and dying, that you comfort them in their last days. Geneva Convention also states that. The boy laid there. Look at all the pictures they send. You will not see any tracks to his body but his own. Why the cops were shooting the hell out of a car with 2 women, 1 woman, 1 young lady that there's debate if she was 18 or if she was 17 going on 18. But 2 women in a car. They were blowing the hell out of the car. They got it out of this county. They hid it in Bend, in the building over in Bend for a short time. It's been moved. We ain't been able to track it down. Why are they afraid of showing that vehicle full of bullet holes? This was Bonnie and Clyde BS. This was the government going nuts, going crazy.
Yeah, we found out something. It was a couple of days ago. Probably the only reason they didn't waste everybody at that first stop is somebody just happened to be coming down that road and came up on the first stop, and they got a picture that was shown on BBC where the Jeep had the back window shot out while the guys were laying on the ground.
Yep. Yeah, they came out of the road up there by, if you know that country, there's a little rest area park thing right there. And they stopped, the initial stop was there. Well, all the shooting was going on. The boy thought of one thing. It wasn't a runaway, get away from the cop. It was to protect those women and
Yeah.
shot that child. Get away from the gun. It's like anybody else. If somebody's shooting at me, I'm going to run to help.
Yeah,
No.
as far as I'm concerned, that was a kill box turkey shoot.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. And they had a nail strip set up, and the boy hit the nail strip, and you can see he's going out in the uncontrolled because he's lost his tires, going out in the snowbank uncontrolled. That cop that was hiding behind her, that everybody's saying, oh, he tried to run over a cop. That cop jumped out to jump over to shoot him. That cop had an alternative. He wasn't being, oh, the poor victim. That cop was out to kill him and stop him. And the boy got out of the car, walked over with his hands up. And if you watch that video real close, everybody says he went for a gun. He was shot right here. If you're shot, take a pencil and point it right here into, you're going to move away from that shot. Brought his hand down and he spun a bit. Then he brought his hands back up. There's no gun in his hand. You cannot he was wearing my type coat. He's wearing this type of coat. You cannot put a gun into this pocket and reach over with this one and try to get it out. It's not feasible. The boy wore a holster here. He wore a holster under here. He never had nothing down here.
Yeah, we have a guy that actually works with a lot of police over here, and he had heard that one of the guys that was there at that last stop, one of the OSP, had told now this is hearsay, and I'm still waiting for verification, but it's going to be hard to get. But he said that Lavoie didn't say just shoot me. He said they just shot me.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Yep.
which makes a hell of a lot more sense.
Yeah. I heard that.
That puts a whole different spin on it.
Spin on it. But he was why he moved away from that vehicle? Lemoy was a gentleman. Lemoy was a hero. He moved the fire away from the ladies. He moved away to protect those ladies. And he moved away to protect those ladies.
I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, you would have. That's it. No.
You know, and I've been stung before, and it's like it feels like a little prick, and then it just catches on fire because you just had a 250-degree piece of lead go through you. I mean, it's horrible. So
keep in mind too that type of ammunition that's being standard issue that in those ARs and those weapons that they were using out there are full metal jacket. They don't expand like a hunt rifle does. They go through, and that it's more of a sting than an actual explosion or to throw you back with the expansion of the lead. So
yeah, that's what I was saying when I did the video analysis that's going around that everybody seems to like, because I tried to stay away. But you can tell by the body posture. You know, when I was in the military, when you're going to shoot especially a heavy recoil rifle like a 308 or a 7mm rim mag, you have to put a foot out and lean in, or you're going to end up on your butt. It kicks worse than a 12 gauge.
Yep.
Can we get you to introduce yourself so that people know who's
I'm
joined us?
Good friend Rich Moreland.
He's my hunting partner
From the Valley area over there, and I come over here to stand for my constitutional rights and to stand with Tom and some of the local folks and just the nation in general, and more for information so that I can get the facts. And I guess that's probably one of the things that's bothering me the most about all of the hype around here and the different opinions is that people are being swayed by their opinions. They're not taking the time to educate themselves, to truly find out the facts. They're just holding a hard line. Well, and going back to what Tom was talking about earlier, this stuff is all connected in any walk of life, whatever you choose to do with your personal time, your employment, whatever your race, color, religion, sexual preference, there is no matter here in any of these situations. People are, this nation was designed for free people to work together for the common interest of the better of the people. And we're not seeing any signs of that coming from the big brother. We're being pushed into a corner. The comments that he was making about the pigs, you know, it's so true. You can literally go out in the wild with wild hogs and start feeding them pigs. You feed them in one spot for a while, they get used to eating there. You come up and put one fence panel up, continue to feed them. They'll be shy at first. They'll get accustomed to it. They'll move up. They'll start feeding. They're comfortable. Through the process, you put up 4 fence panels and continue to feed them. The last panel has a gate. When you finally put in the last batch of feed, those hogs are going to go right through that open gate because they've gotten used to it. You slam the gate. Initial reaction is, oh my goodness. Look around. Oh, there's food on the ground. They're going right back to eat. That's what the American people, in my opinion, are doing again, and have done it through history. Go back. You don't even got to go back 50, 60 years. Go back 10 years. Back in 1989, 90, somewhere in there, my father and I was right here in Harney County and helped put in a press in there for those glulam buildings, or the glulam beams that was produced beams from the sawmill, from the lumber, and created thousands of jobs right here in Harney County. Since that day, or that time, that entire mill has been flattened. It's not even there anymore. Logging industry is shut down here. I'd be interested to see actual numbers to how bad that hurt Harney County. What are they doing with that land now? Nothing. It's sitting there. It's an eyesore. They've not completed the cleanup on it. It's trashing up Harney County. And that point was made yesterday at that protest to some of the local people. Watch the tempo of the conversation calm down, thanks to Tom and his diplomacy. you know, and then I got involved and I asked the guy that was doing the yelling. I asked him that very question. What were you telling me to leave when I was here building a plant, produce jobs for you? No, because you were on the take. Now that you're not on the take and you're afraid for government overreach or the show of force by the SWAT and the FBI and stuff here, I understand your fears, but don't push away the people that are truly here to help you. However they go about doing it. I'm not going to judge people for their stance and how they take that stance. I'm not here to create problems for my family or my friends and all that, but I am here to stand up for the Constitution and the book. Got one right here in my pocket as well. Not afraid. And I've challenged all of my friends and people that I know to
See how hard it is to get something out of your pocket?
yeah, we know this already. But I've challenged everybody that I know to get that book and read. Find the common ground that connects the people. Find where this land grab situation directly affects the sand dunes over on the west coast, where they're trying to take land away from that, where they're doing this, and it's not necessarily all about land. It's about all the little ploys along the way to take away your rights as a free country to stand together and to have a proper voting process. Our voting process is corrupt to start with. Where do these electoral votes come in? What happened to one vote for one person? Okay, why do we have, because there's only 7,000 people in this area, they don't have a say here. But Ohio, Idaho, all these bigger areas, these bigger conglomerations of people, Portland, Salem, I live 12 miles from Salem. I don't condone them not having to go to the polls and cast their vote and count one vote for one person. My opinion. You know, there's all of these little corrupt things that if you stop for a minute, remove the emotion out of the conversation that you're in, truly educate yourself, look for a connection. If it's not there, it's not there. But I challenge people to try to prove me wrong. It's connected. And it's connected all across our nation. Yes, united we stand, divided we fall. In God we trust. God bless America. I don't know what else I can say. People, get off the couch.
How we doing, Hawk?
He's gone to sleep.
Have you gone to sleep? Is that you, Liz?
How are you doing? Thank you. Got to educate the people.
Yep.
I've been down in your neighborhood. I was down in Kentucky. Took a friend in the military and buried his body in Kentucky. I met some great people down there at the wake. Got a little drunk from the moonshine. I'll be dang. Now, but what was funny was the next morning we had breakfast after the wake. And was standing there listening to two cows, mother and daughter singing Amazing Grace. Oh my God, sound like they were angels singing. I get to Montana, coming back home. I hear those same two women on the radio singing the Judds. His cousins were the Judds.
Oh my.
That's my history in Kentucky.
Wow.
But I know it's just, the American people's got to wake up. They think this is such an isolated area, don't affect them. But believe me, your private land rights are going to be taken from you, from your condominiums in the city to your ranches out here in the country. We all are affected.
They are talking about the overall plan is the Agenda 21 / Agenda 2030 to depopulate the West, herd everybody into major cities so they can control them.
Yep. And then only the only people that will see the beauty of this country will be the elite government. Look at England in the old days. with the imperial forests and that, where only the imperial elite society could go out and hunt on those, and the peasants that was starving, if they were caught poaching a deer or poaching a bird, was killed. Welcome to the United States.
So, and through the different channels of the government and their ploys and the twists on words, they try to play the different groups and the different people that stand for different things against each other. Not just here a couple weeks ago when this whole thing got started revving up around here, they were trying super hard to turn the hunters and fishers against the ranchers, and trying to show that the ranchers are out here grazing this land and keeping them off hunting. Well, I am both. Okay, I do find the link in it, and I challenge anybody that's a hunter or an outdoorsman or woman to come out here and truly walk onto a piece of property that I will promise you, and I'm probably a little low, but I don't want to be. I'm going to be a little conservative. I'm going to say at least 50% of the ranchers out here, if you approach them in the proper way, not just jump their fence and go out here and kill, you can access some of this property. This is a lot of the private land, but the BLM land is yours to hunt. They
Except
can't,
the refuge.
except for the refuge. That's why there are rules in place that ranchers follow to the very best of their abilities. They have their livestock off of there. They don't overgraze. There's a number. In fact, it's kind of a joke in the ranching industry that they got to put a rule on the end of a tape measure on the end of the cow's nose so they know not to eat that piece of grass down below 3 inches. Okay? You can find some humor in some of it, but it's reality. They don't have control over that. So they put deadlines when they need to take them off of the BLM land, okay? Or the people's land. But I'm telling you, it's just like the forest industry. You don't groom that up here in this mountains, if you don't groom it and take care of it and log it and actually be a
Steward of the land.
of the land, you're creating your own demise, and it's proven. Look at how bad our wildfires have gotten every year, and they're getting worse and worse because logging has come to a screeching halt. There are some cuts happening now more over in the valley area and stuff, but nothing like it was. How many families not just in Oregon, but in the United States abroad was affected with the spotted owl? Okay, another ploy. They prove that spotted owl will nest in a briar patch just as well as he will an old growth tree. But industry was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we will. That one.
You tell those people in the chat room,
Come out of the chat
Yeah.
room, come
Yeah.
stand with us.
to voice up to every senator, every congressman. I don't give a damn who they are. To voice up and say you will not stand for the corruption of the United States.
Absolutely.
It's time to stop patting their pockets. I don't want some fat bureaucrat rich off of my money sitting there controlling me. And it's time the American people step up to those fat bureaucrats that's living high off the hog horn in Washington, D.C. and not running after their boys or their girls or whatever they run after and all their multi-millions to become back to the people and get rid of those fat bureaucrats. Yeah, we had certain senators from our country went over there to Washington, D.C. and crying on the Senate floor. We haven't seen him. He hasn't been here since. He did a political show. Oh, how sorry he was. Well, what did he do? Nothing after that. They are not fighting. I want to see Kentucky. I want to see a Daniel Boone up on that floor talking like a simple man, talking about raccoons being in a damn tree and how you get that damn raccoon out of that tree to those congressmen and senators and showing them what life's about. And time to get rid of corrupt politicians like Harry Reid. Oh, that boy is corrupt. You ever study him, you will find corruption beyond all means. Nancy Pelosi, she sits up there and plays stupid as hell. She's corrupt. Now, they've all been bought by America Inc. They are wealthy. Did you get wealthy by America Inc? No, we're slaving our ass off. Now, I'm working a job, like paying my son's way through college, trying to build him up a business at the same time. We've got to be together, people. We can't be struggling amongst each other. You think this here division between the gay rights and the marriage issue, that was to divide Everything that they do is have one cause: to divide the nation. We have the Black Lives Matter. If you say white life matters or all life matters, then you're a racist. We got a division. We have blacks now running colleges down in Missouri, want to be back into segregation, want to be removed from the whites. You want segregation. Martin
Yeah,
Luther King
I'll
fought for
bet
segregation.
King is rolling over in
Over
his grave.
You could put a windmill on top of his grave and it generate power. He's moving so hard and that. But you know, this mentality is brought into by these so-called tenured professors and that. Oh, you got over there in Chicago, Bill Ayers is teaching our college. Bill Ayers, a true terrorist that has bombed and killed and that for their sacred cause and that grew out of the Vietnam conflict. We had draft dodgers run from Canada back to the United States when Carter gave them amnesty. My teachers that was teaching us anti-American propaganda came back to the United States. They are now our professors. They are now our congressmen and senators. And these people are against the United States. Now, time we wake up, America. Time we take back our nation. I'm willing to stand for the battle. I've been told by several people that I'm being watched to watch my back. One morning I had over 20 phone calls of people saying, Tom, you got a target marked on your back. Well, I'm unarmed. Bring it on. I will die a free man. Now, I am not armed. FBI, you specialists down there, you want to kill me? My son knows. He will tell my grandson, will tell his grandson, and they'll spread down through. My grandpa made a stand. Grandpa made the stand for the freedom of my children and the freedom of your children. Are you willing to join us? Are you willing to join us against the corruption in the United States? This UN should be kicked out of the United States. That building should be demolished. Those people should be kicked out. They're not looking for the betterment of the United States. They're looking to pad their pocket. It's controlled by Rothschilds, controlled by these elitists that are multi-billionaires. George Soros, the devil himself, that took the money from, he's Jewish, took his money from the Jewish people in the concentration camp to build his wealth. That's the type of thieves we're dealing with. He profited off the death of others. The Jewish people marched in the concentration camp like sheep. They trusted. Not, I don't trust the government. I know what they're capable of. They're building FEMA camps. What are these FEMA camps for? FEMA camps are concentration camps of Europe. Auschwitz and Birkenau and all those concentration camps are now being built in the United States to take care of the dissidents that's against the government. Russia did the same thing with Siberia. All the concentration camps in Siberia was to send dissidents, homosexuals, people that spoke out against the government, freeloaders, as they called them, was sent to the concentration camps to die. And that's where we're headed, people. This is where the United States is headed to. That is socialism. Hillary Clinton says she's a progressive. She's a progressive liberal. Two definitions between the socialist, communist, and the liberal, progressive. One will move fast, take care of business fast. The other will move slowly. We'll move into colleges, we'll move into schools, and they will get their ideology built up. When they hit, they'll have more converts to their mission, and they will conquer at that moment. And that's what's happening in the United States.
Really, what I want to see here, and like Tom was saying, referencing children and our families, yeah, my children are scared to death that I'm over here. They're not afraid of the public. They're not afraid of the American people. They're afraid of the stand that's being taken by the FBI here. And that's where the fear is at. But what I want to see is I want to see our children say their Pledge of Allegiance in the morning when they start their class again like I did. I want to see my children be taught gun safety in school like we were. Hunter safety was in our school program when I took it. Okay, look in your history, people. Was there these mass shootings? We had kids educated. Again, back to his comment. Keep them dumb. You can do whatever you want with them. Okay? I want to see our children be able to bow their head and say a prayer if they choose to, if that's the road that their family wants. I personally do. My children do as well. They can't have these rights, people. That's what they want. And they're keeping us dumb, and they're feeding us the free food and trying with every ounce of their power to convince us that the few people that are sitting over here still chiming out, like Tom and myself, and there's a bunch more. Don't think we're alone, but the more of us that truly find the link, associate your daily life with what's going on over here, not just look at it as a bunch of gun toting redneck dumbasses out here in the middle of nowhere with cow shit on their boots. You know, we're good people. We pay our taxes. We work hard. You know.
Okay, guys, let's talk global warming and
There you
climate
go.
change.
I get a
That's
question.
all tied in.
I have a question. I have a question.
It is so true. It's linked.
Do you think without the federal military involved in the county, that the county would be able to work its situation through as it would hold the local
Once we clean
authorities
out-
accountable?
Once we clean out the
Absolutely.
corrupt, as you can
Absolutely.
see, we just had a military aircraft flying over here. You hear it?
I heard it going.
And now,
Well, out 100 miles yesterday driving over here. I was at the 100-mile mark coming in from Bend. There was an F-15 banked up right up here. He was still pretty high, but he banked up in front of me and headed back this way.
Dakota.
Why do we have military aircraft flying this area if this is a peaceful mission by the Big Brother? Why? Why do we have 5 Black Hawk helicopters flying in night missions out here with their green dots on? Why was it just less than an hour ago? I ran up here to the little store to get a cup of coffee, and as I walked out the store, 2 more SWAT vehicles coming from Bend going in there. Why? Why
4 men.
for 4 people holed up? One of them a woman with a couple hunting rifles. Why?
This is
crowd
more-
control?
No, this stomp on our neck of the American people. Say if you bring up anything against the government, we will destroy you. This is to show the American people we're a small county of people, 7,000. We're not no big city. And they will come in and they will stomp on our throat.
I get a question for you. Over at the courthouse, do you think if it didn't have blockades and fences all around it, that the people would actually storm it?
No,
I don't believe they would.
no.
I don't think that's the intention of the
Had
people
they
here.
stormed the BLM, the Fish Forest Service, the fishing game?
The most they've done is run a Gadsden flag.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Don't
would,
tread on
would,
me.
would it be fair to say they've fenced themselves in instead of fencing themselves out, or
I would
others
go,
out?
I would go out on a limb and
That's
say
occupied.
that the local police department, if willing, along with requested efforts from the OSP, could handle anything and any amount of people that come to this community, because the local people themselves would help them handle anybody that and it's been stated. Don't come here if you want to come here and start a firefight. We don't want you here. We want you to come here, educate yourself, educate those people around you in your circle, and united we stand. But and within our rights to do so. Peaceful protest, peaceful. Everything was peaceful yesterday. There was several different sides, and there was some arguing back and forth. But when the dialogue went from ha ha to peaceful speaking to one another with respect, took the emotion out of the conversation and started talking with respect as fellow citizens with an opinion, boy, it quieted right down, and people started really communicating. They don't want that.
Oh, well, then we'll let you go, Hawk. Maybe we'll talk again, cowboy.
Yeah, we actually we're doing the show last night right after Sherry got done at the protest, and we managed to get through to David Fry, and he was cool enough to stay on air with us while people called, and I couldn't even field all the calls. We got 1,098 calls in 3.5 hours, and I don't think we had but 2 people just being vulgar jerks. Everybody else is just supporting this entire thing, not just them. A lot of people are saying you guys need to just get out of there before they just come in there and kill you, because nobody can get up there to help them anyway. So
Yeah. You don't know if the horse is still there.
Hellboy?
Oh boy.
I take it that wasn't Hellboy at the rally yesterday.
No.
Okay. Do we know if Hellboy is still there?
I have no idea.
I beg upon you, government sharpshooters, let me go in and get that
We'll
horse
get him
out
out
of there
right now.
before you kill that horse. No?
Next time you talk to David, could you ask that question?
All right, I'll try to find out.
Yeah, we'll put Hellboy up and I'll feed him. He'll get good alfalfa hay and get fed good. and that if the owner comes and claims him, gets out, he won't have to worry about his horse.
Awesome. I've also, before we completely get done or close up, I've had a lot of people ask, and a lot of people are from the city, have never seen anything up close like you're doing. They'd like you to just kind of walk around and show them what the heck you guys actually do.
Okay,
Let's do that.
we run bucking horses here. We just shipped a truckload out. These are my son's future. That's his future bucking bull. He's wants to raise bucking bulls, so he's getting started with some bucking bulls. As you can see, we're wintertime. They're in confined area on the hay.
How old's the baby over there?
The baby is about 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
And he is a bull calf, so that's the future of the rodeo industry right there.
He's a Houdini. He's a con artist. He flips out in and out of the fences. And then that right over here by the haystack is our bucking stud. In his first rodeo he went to, the cowboy that rode him won the rodeo. He's a damn good bucking horse. We got another one coming in from Bad Medicine, Wyoming. These are just riding horses over here.
Which some of them used to be bucking horses and have been recycled into using animals. So,
yeah, my son trains bucking horses, don't buck no more into riding horses or ranch work. Oh, that's a sewage tank that I use for a water tank up in the dryer. I haul water up and plumb it down into the trough for the cows. It's oh. No, it was. If I put it in the ground, it would have been a porta potty type thing. But I use it for watering. And these are just some of our hay. I've got 100 ton more to bring in, so I'll have my yard filled back up. And I just bought this place, so I'm in the process. I got started fixing it back up. It was kind of run down, and we're slowly fixing it.
You normally tarp your hay, right?
Yeah, no, I don't tarp the hay.
Oh, you don't?
No.
they don't get the torrential rains over here in this country. They can handle the snow and the light moisture.
Yeah.
The air itself will dry it, and it's still good hay.
These are riding horses.
Okay.
So, and the animals.
These are rope horses, and they go to rodeos and ranch work and that all throughout the state of Oregon and Idaho. That's my old mare, Gorgeous. That old mare's seen more miles than anybody. The dog running around is my cow dog, Dakota. And the old black horse, a gentleman made a print of that black horse with my son handling him. He drew a pencil, and they're selling down at the one shop downtown, Burns. And it's a really cool print of my son. This old mare, she's just a mare I just got. She had pigeon fever, and I cured her of the pigeon fever, and that's what on her back. And we had a little pigeon fever go in when she came in. But back to our cows, and that's about here. And then we got 80 bucking horses throughout the county in different pastures that we shipped 12 to Ontario. They'll be bucking in Ontario college rodeo practice. That's Amigo. Not Amigo, Hombre, I mean. Get my horse. You get too many horses, you get confused on names.
And this horse is
This is a bucking stud. He's a stud horse. As you can see, all our horses are well fed. They're free choice hay. And fat, well fed horses. He's trying to show off his wares to you. And that's about what we got.
All right, that was awesome. Yeah, I'm sure everybody enjoyed that.
And then Coda. Here he is. This is my cow dog, Coda. He started working cows when he was 6 weeks old. He started going out with me, work cows. Me and him's tracked a lot of cows. He's a hell of a tracking dog.
that's Rick's dog.
And then this here, and that Rich's dog here, a little blue hiller. Now,
Spring and in the summer, you look at these horses, you can find flesh.
Yeah.
They take care of their
right now they're all
Not blue.
now they're all fuzzy.
Well, that's what I say. They recycle from a ex-buck horse. Now he's a partner and a working tool and part of this operating ranch. And you'll jump on that horse, and that boy hunter, he'll take off and go ride for 2 days up in this mountains on that horse, and never worry about him. And Dad don't worry about him either because he knows the cowboy he produced it. That him and that horse will come back. And
Oh, Hunter's been working cows since he was 2 years old.
Absolutely.
My hog pen, I ain't finished up yet. I got to finish it up when the snow melts. I'm building for a butcher hogs.
Uh-huh.
And that. My mom and dad's in their 80s and that, and I provide them meat every year.
That's
help 'em out.
awesome. I've raised a couple of hogs. It's an experience, I
Yeah.
gotta tell you.
Yeah.
But it's the best meat I ever had.
Oh,
too.
yeah. Yeah. Not like a good ranch fed hog. I got milk cows that's not here and that. And the hogs will get the milk
Mhm.
and that.
Got chickens? Because they love the milk too.
No, I ain't got no chicken.
Coyotes are hard on chickens in this country.
Really?
I'm
Yes,
gone
yeah.
quite a bit, so I don't have chickens and that. They're pretty well. You need to take care of them.
Well, I don't know. I free range my chickens
Yeah.
even in the winter. I
Oh, we
just-
get coyotes right on our back scab. We got
Oh,
a
do
cougar. We had a cougar that was hanging right over here on the creek channel. The creek.
This is wild country out here. And, like I said, free range chickens out here probably aren't going to fare very long.
I
Coyotes are gonna have
understand that.
I was
do
riding up in
understand
the
that.
mountains one day, and that ride along on a green colt, and we was coming up. And I was watching the top of this juniper tree. Something was going on up there, and pretty soon out came a little 5-foot female cat. She came out and she went off to the south, and then pretty soon out came an 8-9 foot Tommy. That Tommy came out, and he went out and he sat there and watched me as I rode by, and I was scared that horse was gonna go bucking on me, a green colt. We brought in a bunch of cows. I had one heifer that decided it was getting dark, and she decided to take off, and I couldn't see her like that. Next morning, I found her. That cat followed me in and killed her.
Oh man. Oh.
They stopped hunting cats with dogs here, and the cats have become belligerent. We've had them in Horn County down at Burns, sitting up on top of that school. And there's a bluff above the school, a Slater, and he was sitting up there watching the kids play around. They're attracted to that noise and that kids running their game.
Oh, that's
their prey
that's pretty
runs.
scary. Yeah.
They got them out.
5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like a little community just west of here in Sisters. They killed 6 cats in one year inside of the city limits.
But I have a
Wow.
belief, you city people, you want your cats and you want your wolves and you want all these animals. But when they come into your cities, you tranquilize them and get them out. Why? You tell us to leave them alone. By God, you people leave them alone
Let them
too.
live there.
You people want them, you keep them. Let them prey upon your children. You expect them to come out here and that. We got to worry about them preying on our children. So you keep them. We don't want them. No, we want control of them. We don't want them to be up in the numbers like they are.
We don't want them gone.
No,
We just want them in control.
control.
They have their part in the ecosystem as well.
Yeah, we have a pretty bad coyote problem here. We have to thin at least once a year and keep them afraid from coming up too close to the houses. Otherwise, they'll come up and eat out of the cat food bowls if you don't stop them.
People tell me that a coyote won't kill a calf. People, I have seen coyotes pull a calf out of a calving cow, kill that calf, then come back and eat the uterus out of that cow while she's still alive. And it's not pretty, but I've seen it happen. These are predators, and you people might have this utopian dream that the lion and the sheep's going to lay down together. Wait till you get to heaven and see it. Don't let it happen here because it's not going to happen.
Not here. Maybe in there. Not here.
Okay.
You need to.
I seen you having your cigarettes, but damn.
Mark, are you there? Yeah, we're almost done here. No, it's good. We can probably do a couple more minutes, but let me hold on. It doesn't want to get off of me. Hold on a minute. There we go. Nobody wants to see my old face, so we got it back over here onto the cows. If y'all have, I'm sure they'll be happy to answer them, but we've only got a few minutes, so, you know.
Well, as long as the educational process is there and the people are getting what they want, that's what we're after here. And what they need to educate them so that we can get people to look at it from the real reason we're all here. And like I said back a little bit ago, united we stand, divided they win, or divided we fall.
Yep.
So, happy to answer questions as long as the people come at you without the attitude and leave the emotion out of it. We can talk for days and days and days, and we can agree to disagree too. That's okay. In the American society, that is okay. And people lose track of the fact that it's okay to not view things exactly the same. Never going to, because the walks of life are so different. That's the ironic, the really beauty of the way the United States should be. Is people ought to have that right.
Okay, Hawks, throw some questions out there.
Okay, I gotta get back.
Now you take away their fire with proof and true facts, and they can no longer just chime in because they heard it from somebody else.
Yeah, and from if you government, I'll sell you a bridge in Brooklyn that I own.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm hoping to come back down here in a few weeks and see how we're coming.
Okay.
See how it's going. Hopefully around maybe the 3rd week of February.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm right here.
Well, you'll be hearing from us.
Okay.
And we really appreciate y'all taking time with us today.
You bet. Y'all have a good one, Hawk.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And just want to salute you, gentlemen, and say have a good day. And thanks for giving us your time.
You bet. And thank you, audience. Y'all take it easy.
All right. Thanks a lot.
You bet.
Bye-bye. Sherry, what do you have? Oh, okay, that was poof. Let me this. And I'm going to go find something else real quick. We did find it. Yes, Ariel. I don't know. Can you hold on? I'm really busy. Well, I'm on the air. I answer your question in just a second. Sorry, folks. All right, this new interview, I think this is originally, I can't remember who it was. This came out, this is with Shauna Cox. That tells us some of the other stuff that went on. So let me wind this back because we need this, definitely need this to be remirrored out there over and over again so people know. And because apparently she, we never know, they may put a gag order on her before this is over, and so we need every version of the story that we can get out there. So this is the Shauna Cox interview. I think it's Dave somebody, I can't remember exactly who did it, but we'll find out in a minute because their logo comes up there, and then I'll put a link to the original video in here so you can mirror yourself.
Well, Shauna, thanks for joining us, and I know this is a very difficult time for you. I can imagine you're not sleeping very well, and I would imagine, the meals aren't going down as good as they normally do. So I wanted you to know from that perspective, I so appreciate your courage, but your conviction to the truth to come on this show and set our listening audience straight about what happened.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate we have the opportunity to tell the truth, because I see in the media there's a lot of falsehoods that are going out, and we have to speak up and tell what really happened so that they will know what really went down.
Well, let's start with that morning. You guys were taking a trip, Ammon and his brother and Lavoy, you and so forth, and Victoria, and a gentleman named Mark McConnell. You were all taking a trip to go to John Day. What was the purpose of your trip?
That morning, we had our meeting, and the trip was set up. There was a meeting in John Day that evening with the sheriff of Grant County, and he had called in a bunch of ranchers. I don't know if he called them or they had a big bunch of ranchers, because the sheriff over there is very constitutional and has worked well and really in support of the Constitution. And they wanted to hear the presentation that Ammon Bundy gives and Ryan Payne and Ryan Bundy about personal rights, about our rights and how they're created and how they're protected by the Constitution itself and what the Constitution is about. And they've been out teaching many ranchers and other citizens in Harney County. They would come down there and learn these things, and then it was awesome. And they had this meeting set up for that evening, and a couple of days before that, we had a wonderful family show up. It's the Sharp family, and we had heard them sing before. It's a mother. She has 10 children, and they sing gospel music. And the Lord brought them here. The Lord brought them, and they fill your heart with so much peace and comfort, and that's why they came. So they decided that that's what they were going to do, is have them come because they wanted to sing. They had been there singing for us for a few days, and the day before, their oldest daughter just came from EMT school. She finished and joined them. So the whole program was going to go that they were going to put this performance on at that meeting in John Day. Well, normally I don't go to the meetings. I have other things I was working on, but the guys were all getting ready to go, and they had planned it out where everybody was going at separate times in separate individual cars. And at that time, we were going to send the family and some others ahead and get prepared. And as they were getting into their their van to drive, they had everybody in except the oldest daughter because she was still getting ready. And they needed to take off, so we said, okay, go ahead and go. Then we were going to come. Well, I was originally not going, but Lavoy was driving his truck, and Ryan Payne was in the passenger side. Ryan Bundy was in the back, and they were taking Victoria, this daughter, the 18-year-old, and we had another person that was supposed to be going to film it, to video it, but we couldn't find him at the last minute, and so I said, okay, I will go and do that, and then, because I was preparing to go home, I said, I will go and do that, and then see, I was going to go home afterwards. So I jumped in the truck behind the passenger seat, and we headed out for John Day. When we had traveled for about a half an hour, and behind us was supposed to come in about 15 minutes or so, was going to be the second vehicle, which had Mark McConnell in. He was driving, and Buddha and Ammon Bundy. Anyway, they were in a different vehicle, and they were supposed to be coming behind us. And then we had a reporter that was supposed to be coming 10 minutes behind that, and so we headed out. We traveled for probably, I'm guessing, around a half an hour. During that time, I was busy on the phone. I was calling people in John Day, some of our friends, saying, you ought to come and see the concert. You know, it's going to be really interesting and you'll really love it. I wanted them to be able to hear what was happening and to understand. And then I also had some of the guys' families, like the LaVoy's wife was calling, and I was texting saying this is great. His daughter was playing a basketball game and she wanted to be there, but they had, she's at high school. Anyway, I was in communication with a lot of people at that time. We'd traveled for about a half an hour, and we're going through the hills. Now, I don't know how far it is, and I don't even know which direction we're going because I do not geographically know Oregon. Not from here, wasn't familiar. And we got to this snowed valley, and they said, and I looked up, and they said, "Oh, look at all those vehicles that were coming out of the side canyon. There were a whole bunch of them up into this snowed-in valley off the side road." And they started to filing out and falling in behind the Jeep. And at that time, I think, is when LaVoy and Ryan realized that it was going to be an ambush, that it was a setup. And they got a little bit nervous because as they came out, they came up on quickly and flipped on their lights. All I could see was flashing lights. As they were, and they were starting to pull over the Jeep because I could see in the rearview mirror that the Jeep was slowing down. So I turned around and I could see that they were kind of coming up on top of the Jeep, and the Jeep stopped. And we kept going because LaVoy said, we have to get to John Day, and we have to, because we're meeting the sheriff, we've got to get to John Day. So he was speeding up. And then the cars, the police cars, or whoever they were, I don't know because I couldn't see them exactly, other than they were different colored vehicles at the time, like SUVs. Anyway, I could just see the lights coming up quickly upon us. And Ryan Payne says, "LaVoy, you need to pull over. Just pull over." And LaVoy said, "No, we got to go see the sheriff." And finally, Ryan Payne said, "You got to pull over. You got to stop." And so LaVoy slowed down and stopped. And Ryan Payne rolled down the window. Now he's in the passenger side, and he puts both his arms out the window, and puts it, to show, I guess, that he doesn't have any weapons or whatever, but he puts his hands out, and he starts to put his head out, and a bullet comes by, and I thought it hit him in the arm. He jumps back really fast into the car, his hands, and I thought it hit the bracelet on his arm, but it didn't. It hit the metal between the mirror and the door, and that freaked us out. And he goes, "They're shooting."
While you were stopped, they didn't give you an opportunity to surrender. They didn't get on their PA system and said, "Okay, we're going to order you out of the car." So the first thing they did was to shoot at you.
Shoot at him. Yep, shoot at Ryan's hands. And so that freaked us out. And then LaVoy was going to take off, and Ryan said, "No, they're making business. We better stop. Just wait." And so he gets out and he's yelling at him. There's women in the car, so he jumps out of the car. And then he's standing there, and he yells back at whoever's behind us, and he says, "There's women in the car." And we hear them say, "If the women want out, let them out, or let the women out." Well, my door was locked, and Victoria was sitting next to me, and she's just a young girl, just barely 18. And she's freaked out. Well, I'm kind of freaked out, too, because they're shooting already, and we haven't even done any with it, And that was really weird. And then I can look up, and I looked up, and on the top of LaVoy's hat, there is a red laser pointed to the top of his head, because I can see him in the back seat. And he saw that, because it was like flashing around, around, and we could see it on his head. And he stuck his hand out and his head out, and he yells, "We're going to see the sheriff. We are going to John Day to meet with the sheriff, And he said, go ahead, shoot me then, because he could see the laser on his head in the mirror. And then he said that 3 or 4 times. We're going to see the sheriff. And then he said to us, if you want to get out, get out. And Victoria says, I'm not getting out. And my mother instinct kicks in, and I said, I'm not leaving her. I'm not getting out. So he says, okay, and so he just decided to gun it, and we just slid down the floorboard. I was still sitting up. There wasn't really enough room for us, so I'll slide down there. But Victoria leaned over on me, and Ryan was down, and we took off. And we tried at that moment to dial out 911. Anybody we knew trying to call. We had nobody. None of us had any service. Suddenly, the service was all gone. Like they already knew.
Sure.
They either shut it off or knew that spot had absolutely no service, because we couldn't call one single anything. We had no service. And I had just barely been on the phone, so I knew that it had just cut off. So so I immediately grabbed my camera that I had, because Ryan turned on his phone, and he's talking into his phone saying what's going on, I don't know if he's videoing or exactly how he's doing it, but he's recording what's happening. And I am, and I'm down as low as I can get, and I've got the camera up, and it's on boy. And I said to him, I said, how far do you think we can get before they shoot the tires out? How far do we have to go? And he said, we have to go 50 miles. Oh, my heart sunk. I'm going, oh my gosh, you're going to make 50 miles, and they're gaining on us, and they're coming up around the side of us, and he's going for it. And suddenly we hit because we're down. I guess we came around the corner. I'm not really sure, but all I know is all of a sudden the truck hits this slush, and I don't know if he hit the brakes or if he was just swerving exactly, but this big spray of snow and ice came up to the side over on the right side of us, and he swerves over to the left, and then now he's going over into the snowbank. At that point, I could see the vehicles barricading across the road, and he's trying to go around, and we get stuck.
So he was going to go around the 2 vehicles there, and he got stuck in the snowbank. And so let's talk about what happened then, and when Lavoie decided to exit the vehicle.
Well, at that point, as soon as that vehicle stopped, okay, he flung open the door, and he jumped out of the vehicle, and the snow was deep, and he throws his hands wide open, and he runs. Well, he's trying to. How do you run through snow, waist deep? Anyway, he's trying to get through the snow, and he's got his hands out, and he's yelling, just shoot me then. Just shoot me, just shoot me then. And I could not understand why he was doing that. And since that day, I have come to understand a little bit more that because I can't do his thinking for him, but he has a number of daughters. And I really believe that he had intention to draw the fire away from us, because they had lasers all over the place and started shooting.
Did you have lasers on your body?
Absolutely. They had lasers all over us, and we were freaking out because they were shooting the truck. He was out there. We couldn't do anything. We got pinned down.
Let me stop you for a second, Shauna. Let me stop you just for a second. Yeah. Are you saying at the point he got out of the vehicle, they were already firing upon the vehicle?
They started firing immediately upon the vehicle.
When the vehicle came to a stop, when you came to a stop in that snowbank, is that when they started to fire again?
I think he jumped out first, and then they began to fire.
Okay.
I think he hit the snow before they actually started firing, but that's when we couldn't get up, because we were getting blasted with bullets, and lasers were every place in the car, and they were shooting everything, and the windows went out, and the passenger window got blown out, and his door was still open, and Victoria and Ryan. Now I couldn't see him after he left my camera because I'm panning over there. but I'm down low, and they're kind of in front of me, so I can't see it as well. But Victoria would get up, and I'd say, "Oh, get down," and she was trying to see him, and she said, "They shot him, and Ryan said, "They shot him, and they shot him again," and Ryan says he's dead, but the bullets never stopped. They kept coming. They kept shooting the vehicle. We were pinned. We couldn't get up. It was like we were not supposed to get out of that.
How long did they keep shooting
the
at
windows
you?
blasted out. I'm
Okay.
sitting there next to that passenger window down. We're praying. We're praying as hard as we can to protect us, to save us. I'm looking up at the window next to my head, and there are bullets or whatever they hit. 5 times they hit that window, and it never broke. I don't know if it was because the angle, or I praise the Lord, because I say He was protecting us because we were praying so hard to save us. And
Shauna,
we
how
would
many
see the
times do you?
lasers, Yeah.
Let me ask you, how many times do you think they shot at the vehicle, if you were to guess, and how long did this assault go on after Lavoie was shot?
Oh, hundreds of bullets, hundreds. They didn't stop. I mean, there was a laser on her knee, and I'd grab her knee and move it. There was that one on his hat, and we'd push her. We were just dodging the lasers, and it just kept shooting. And then they started shooting some weird things in that were sending smoke, and they burned our eyes and our nose and our faces, and so they were. Anyway, it was awful. We just so it went on for, I'd say, I don't know if it's 5-10 minutes. I don't know how long it was. I mean, in that situation, I can't tell time. The only way I could tell you is if you had my camera and you could see how long I was videoing. That's all I can tell you.
Well, how did the shooting stop, and then they took you into custody? Let's talk about that.
Well, Victoria had just finished EMT school 2 days before that. And she was screaming out the window, "Let me help him, let me help him." But see, they didn't answer when she did that. And then she really was upset because they killed him. And she says, "Let me cover his body. I'm an EMT, I'm an EMT." And she was screaming. And then after we'd had enough of this, it was just, it was definitely that they had no intention to let us out of there. So we started screaming together. She was screaming, "Stop, stop." And I was really upset. And I said, "Stop it right now, just stop." And finally they heard us, I guess. I have no idea why they stopped. But I'm telling you that they stopped, and then they said, "Send the man out." And at that time, Ryan said, "I've been hit in the shoulder." And we looked, and sure enough, he had been hit in the right shoulder, and he was bleeding. And Victoria wanted to take care of it, but they were saying, "Get out of the car." So he came out with his hands up and had to back out, and they took him. And then they tell the next one to get out, so she gets out with her hands up. And, of course, they arrested her, or took her. And then I came out. I had to drop my camera and my phone and all my notebooks. And I came out with my hands up, and because the truck's kind of a slant, so we all came out the same back door. And as I got out, I was right behind Victoria, and I noticed that the truck tire was still spinning in the snow. And so it was still spinning. And we look over there, and there's Lavoie laying dead on the snow. Now, what was really odd with that was because he went out facing them, and when we saw him, he was laying with his back down and his face up, which didn't make sense. And his left hand was still out, and his right hand was kind of just leaned up by his chest. And his knees were still buried in the snow. And until I saw the FBI video yesterday, it made no sense to me. Why would he be facing up like that? He was obviously dead. His hat was still on. He had his glasses on. I don't understand how he was in that position. But as we were walking, we also saw all these men coming out from behind the trees. There were all these men that had rifles and hats on, had like little binoculars on them. They were all behind all these trees that were facing him, facing us. And I would say, and in my guess, I would guess about 24 of them maybe. I'm guessing, but there was a number of them. And then we went back, and they took us over and set us on the road and put handcuffs on us. And then as I was coming out with my hands up, they yelled at me and said, "Who else is in the vehicle?" I said, "No one. Nobody else is in the vehicle." They asked me that 3 or 4 times. Nobody. I'm the last one. There's nobody in there. As soon as they got me to the road and put the cuffs on me, they opened fire and started riddling that truck again. Just riddling the truck with bullets. And
trying to kill anyone that might be behind, yeah.
I guess. I don't know, but they just riddled it. And they broke the window that I was sitting next to, you know. So now that window's blown out. But they had, up to that time, they hadn't broken that window. But now it was totally, they just opened fire on that truck.
Victoria, Shauna, we're running kind of short on time, so let me move this ahead.
Sorry.
You have an appearance tomorrow, don't you?
No, I have to go back and see the attorney. We're going back to the court because when I was released, they did not give me the terms and conditions or whatever. They gave me nothing. I didn't sign anything.
That's where I was going with this.
I didn't know anything. They just kicked me out.
They could end up telling you that you're gag ordered and you can't speak to the media anymore, correct?
I'm sure they're going to say that to me.
Yes,
I'm not sure. I don't even know because they didn't tell me anything, so I didn't know. Other than, here's one thing they did tell me. They did tell me that I had to get all the guns. They called my husband and said I had to have all the guns out of our house if I came home, and that they had to go somewhere else. So that day, my husband had taken them to my daughter's house and put them in their big office, their shed, their building they have there, construction building. And my son-in-law was in that building that night working on his backhoe, and he fell asleep in the chair by the wood stove. And for some reason, after the family went up to the house, and with the little children, my daughter and the little kids, somehow that thing caught on fire and exploded and burned down the whole shop with her husband in it. And she got there, and all my guns and bullets were blown. It was awful. It was awful. She couldn't get in the building. So now he's killed. I'm trying to get home. They call me back and say, you got to get back here. They didn't put this ankle bracelet or something they were supposed to put on you. They didn't do, and I was torn in half. I was 3 hours out and had to come back, and I couldn't get to my family. I'm really distraught because I can't do it until in the morning. So in the morning, I have to go back there, and they're going to give me terms and conditions and whatever. I don't know.
Let me ask you a real pointed question here. Did anyone inside the vehicle or did Lavoie do anything to warrant being shot at?
What do you mean by that? Did he do anything?
In other words, from the law enforcement perspective, they're going to come out with, they're going to spin the narrative, as you know. Okay? From your perspective, did Lavoie deserve to be shot? Did he act in a threatening manner?
Absolutely not.
All right.
He
I
never
want to get that on the record.
Nothing. Yeah.
Okay. And at the first traffic stop, the first roadblock, you were fired upon without provocation, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is Nazi Germany, and you had an encounter with the Gestapo. This is how I see it. When people aren't offering resistance, what they should have done. You wouldn't believe all the law enforcement agencies I've had write to me. We're gonna. Boy, I'm getting my own voice back in my ear. But we have. I've had law enforcement agents write to me, Shauna, and they're telling me that they should have moved immediately upon Lavoie's body to see if he was alive, and by putting cover on the car, so if no one was doing anything, you don't shoot. And they said that they should have checked him to see if he was still alive, to give him medical assistance. They didn't do that. They acted with complete depraved indifference towards Lavoie. And then the way they've handled you guys. First of all, Victoria wasn't even part of the actions of Ammon Bundy and what was trying to be accomplished there by educating the ranchers. And yet they could have killed her. They could have killed an innocent person without even giving them the right to give up. That's the thing. They never gave you an opportunity to surrender until after Lavoie was dead. Am I right?
Right. And even then they weren't going to.
Horrible. Just horrible. And to Todd, we're going to skip this last break and we'll go right into Katie's segment here when we're done with Shauna. But this is, I mean, I said this last hour. This makes me ashamed to be an American. That we could act with
don't
such
ever be
depraved
ashamed to be an
indifference.
American. We have to make the difference.
Well, I agree. We do need to make a difference, and I'm glad to hear you say that. Well, listen, I'm so glad that you came on the show with us, Shauna. I speak for my listening audience and for Katie. We so respect you and your courage for coming on,
I
because we know how
appreciate it. This was a man who was killed in cold blood. That's all I can tell you.
I
And
agree.
we should pray for those people. We should pray for the people who did it, and we need to pray for the family, because this is God's country. He created the Constitution for us, and we have to realize that it's in His hands, and we must pray. As a nation, we have to pray.
This you embody the spirit that makes me proud to be an American. And the FBI in this instance, it's beyond words. Shauna, God bless you. I wish you complete justice in the courts. I know they've charged you with impeding federal officers. Of course, they had to make up some bogus nonsense. I've read the charge. It doesn't even make sense. But I wish you the best. Our listening audience is going to pray for you that you all are set free and justice be done and the murderers of Lavoie are brought to justice. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
and
having
us.
Thank
we
you.
will follow this carefully. And again, thanks to Katie for making this interview possible.
All right, that is all the news. It is the news for now. We'll be back when we have something else. She's got about a hour drive back to Burns, and she's going to see what else she can round up for you. Talk to you later. I'm going to let this buffer out.